Deep beneath the freezing, heavily guarded waters of Soviet territory lay a secret that could decide the fate of the Cold War. A highly classified Soviet naval communication cable ran along the seabed, hidden from the eyes of the world. For decades, the Soviets believed this cable was untouchable. They were wrong. This is the story of Operation Ivy Bells, the most audacious, dangerous underwater heist in espionage history. In this four-part series, we dive into the pitch-black abyss to uncover how the CIA built a 3-ton spy tap under the nose of the Soviet Navy. The mission began in the mind of Navy intelligence captain James Bradley, who noticed a peculiar set of Soviet warning signs. To the untrained eye, it was simple maritime safety. To Bradley, it was a map pointing directly to the Kremlin's secure line. He knew that if the United States could tap this cable, they would possess a direct ear to Soviet naval high command. But entering the Sea of Okhotsk was a death sentence. It was heavily patrolled, ringed by radar, and mined. The CIA needed a ghost ship. They chose the USS Halibut, a decommissioned missile submarine retrofitted for spy operations. A large empty space originally designed for cruise missiles was converted into a highly advanced deep-sea diving bay. Elite Navy divers were recruited, trained to survive the crushing, bone-chilling pressure of saturation diving.
It is not that bad in here.
We have everything we need.
They would live for weeks under extreme pressure, breathing a specialized mixture of helium and oxygen. But before they could dive, the Halibut had to slip past the Soviet Union's formidable defenses. In the winter of 1971, the Halibut crossed the invisible line, descending into the dark waters of the Sea of Okhotsk. Above them, Soviet warships patrolled constantly, sending powerful sonar pings echoing through the water. Inside the Halibut, the silence was absolute. The crew held their breath, praying they wouldn't be detected. For 3 grueling weeks, they dragged a camera sled over the barren ocean floor, searching for a needle in a haystack. With fuel running low and winter storms closing in, the mission was on the verge of cancellation. But then, on a flickering, grainy monitor, a straight line appeared in the shifting sand. It was the Soviet military communication cable. The target was acquired. Now the ultimate test. 2 elite Navy divers prepared to step out into the freezing pitch-black water. Stepping onto the seabed, they were entering a world where one broken seal meant instant death. The divers approached the cable, their hands shaking inside their pressurized gloves. To tap it, they had to attach a highly advanced, non-invasive induction sleeve without cutting the physical line. They gently positioned the sleeve, locking it around the armored shell to capture the leaking electromagnetic signals. Inside the Halibut, intelligence officers waited by the tape recorders. If they had damaged the cable, the Soviets would know. Then, through the static, the crisp, clear voices of Soviet commanders came through. The tap was working. The United States had successfully tapped the Soviet Union's most secure line. They deployed the Beast, a massive 3-ton recording pod designed to sit on the seabed for months. For the next 10 days, the Halibut sat silently on the seabed, collecting invaluable data. But operating in Soviet territory meant danger was never far away. Suddenly, a severe deep-sea current slammed into the submarine, causing the massive hull to shift.
All stations, report!
One of the landing skids broke, pinning the submarine's tail to the ocean silt.
Come on, on, you upload! Work with me! I can't hold it much
They were
longer!
stuck, hundreds of feet below the surface, deep inside enemy territory. With carbon dioxide levels rising, the captain had to make a choice: blow the ballast tanks and risk detection, or freeze to death. Above them, the propellers of Soviet destroyers grew louder. The enemy was actively searching. The captain ordered silent maneuvers, using the thrusters to slowly wiggle the massive hull out of the mud. With a sudden metallic groan, the USS Halibut finally broke free from the ocean silt's grip. They slipped out of the Sea of Okhotsk undetected, leaving the beast behind to capture the Kremlin's secrets. The intelligence gathered was a gold mine. The tap worked flawlessly for nearly 10 years, changing the course of the Cold War. But the greatest threat to Operation Ivy Bells wasn't a Soviet destroyer or a deep-sea storm. It was a betrayal from within, a bankrupt insider ready to sell the nation's deepest secrets for a handful of cash. In the next episode of Operation Ivy Bells, the shadow of betrayal looms as a highly trusted NSA analyst walks into the Soviet embassy. How did a single man bring down the Navy's most successful spy mission? Stay tuned for Part 2, The Shadow of Betrayal.